Hello and welcome to the Heads Up podcast. I'm your host. There's three of us. We are DxT Hobo, DxT Ferret, and Nevo, DxT Nevo, Alex, Danny, and Gaz. So, guys, how are you doing today? First of all, been a bit of a busy 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world, and today's been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and today's been kind of okay.
So, first of all,
great ending of the day, though.
That's what made the day decent. Like, work was boring as fuck, but then the end of the day was alright.
Well, I can't tell you that's I've not been working since March, so last year March. So
lucky you.
It's quite strange, you know. So we are trying to get ready for it. I said, like, Wembley had their first few events with 4,000 and 8,000 people. So, like, I know that some of our staff was now working. Obviously, I don't do Wembley, so I couldn't go down there. But I'm going to go down there Monday, bank holiday. It should be quite fun. But I've said there's been news in the F1 world, in the football world. Everything's been kicking off. Like, where do we start?
Let's start with football.
Football. All right. So, obviously, it was the massive controversy behind the ESL, the European Super League. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. If you're not following football, it was in the news everywhere. So maybe you don't know about it. 6 teams from the Premier League and a smattering of others from other leagues decided to form this 12 league system. Or it would be 20, I think, by the end of it. But basically, it was Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. There was, I think, who else was the other? PSG was said to be spoken about as well.
No.
PSG didn't.
But
it was the three Italian teams.
Yeah, the three Italian teams, that was it. So it was Inter, Juventus, and Milan. So obviously, the idea was to make this Super League, and it's going to be. These teams never get relegated. These founding teams never get relegated, and they're blah blah blah. And there'll be invited teams every season and stuff like that. A lot of anger from the fans. And do you know what? Part of me sees the anger they had, but as a Spurs fan, it was like quite honoured to be invited and being included as one of the big 6, where we're sitting in like 8th, 7th at the time, I think it was. And Arsenal as well, sitting in 9th. Like, it was kind of a funny one.
The thing is, though, it's all money orientated. That's the thing that annoyed me the most. And all they were trying to do, right, is start something which has already been started like 100 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, we've already got these leagues as they are now. So to me, it was just, well, we already know, like, Florentino Perez, or whatever his name is, from Real Madrid is just an absolute ball bag and just money grabber. Your chairman, Hobo, Daniel Levy, absolute money grabber.
They're all money grabbers.
Our owners, the Glaziers, absolute ball bags, cannot stand them, money grabbers. But then you got so when it kind of came to fruition, and then like the first teams to kind of back out were like Chelsea and Man City. Like, Abramovich is like a billionaire, and so are like the oil barons that run Man City. Man, they don't even need the money. They were just—it's one of those things, I think, where it's just like for some of the teams, it was like, we'll sign up just in case we miss out on something, and then see how it unfolds, and then obviously it flops straight away. But I found it disgusting, really. Like, I feel like the whole part of when you're playing in your leagues is you play for a certain thing, try to win the league, but then play for certain places to then play against the best. Like, you earn that right, not just get given it and then can never really get it taken away. You know what I mean? I think it's a joke that there was no relegation, and I mean, it's something that maybe could have been built up. But then if you're telling me the first 12 teams in it can't
15
can't get relegated.
Founding, weren't there? 15
oh yeah, 15 founding, right? And they can't get relegated. What if 3 of the founders come in the bottom 3 positions, and you're telling me people that have fought higher up because you're like, oh sorry mate, yeah, you're being relegated. Like, it's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm just gonna throw this out there because. Right, we're all at that age where we've grown up with the whole of the Premier League for most of our lives. But this is the same kind of thing that we had with the Premier League.
The Premier League was
the top 20 teams in English football wanted a league of their own that they could not be relegated from. And that's when the Premier League got started. It wasn't until the top 5 teams from the old Division 1, which was then the new Division 1, they basically then were like, no, we want to be part of that as well. So that's when it started bringing in the relegation from Premier League to the old Division 1. So it was exactly the same thing. What they tried to do is exactly the same thing as what they did with the Premier League. Obviously, the Premier League worked because at that time there wasn't a lot of money in football. You could watch football on the BBC and ITV, so it didn't really matter too much. But now, because it is all about money and the fans are going to be the ones hurt the most, this is where the big problems were. But I'm just seeing a repeat of what it was beforehand, and I can see where the clubs are coming from, because it wasn't just about the money, because the money that's shared amongst the teams that play well in Champions League is pennies to how much money it brings in.
Yeah. And UEFA do take
the control,
a massive chunk as well of the money.
They do. They take a lot of money, and you got to think that FIFA has been full of corrupt people from the beginning. I blame the fact it's run by French mainly. That's a problem. It's like when you put French in control. It's when you put the French in control of a major federation of a worldwide sport, it usually ends up in a lot of problems. This is why the FIA has basically changed all that in the last few years and made sure that they've got people from all over the world to represent them.
Yeah.
Well, FIFA don't do that. FIFA just all about money themselves. And if they realise that this Super League could have, if they basically ran it similar to the way the Champions League was, where you've got to be in the top three of your domestic league to qualify, it would have ran perfectly. It would have been better. The clubs would have had more control, that's what they want. They want to have more money going into their clubs. I don't see why there was a big kick-off about it, apart from the fact that the cost of it was going to affect the fans the most, and that's where I can understand the problem.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The only thing I do like about what they were trying to do, though, they were trying to bring in a streaming service that was... Obviously, they didn't ask Amazon, they didn't ask Sky. It was going to be their own system. But you could watch every single game for your home team, which is what I think football should have now. Like, I get, obviously, Sky, they monopolised completely the football. So I get why they were pissed off straight away for not being invited to the table. I think if they was invited to be the streaming service, they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll do this. But like, think of it from like that point of view, from a fan's point of view. I'm a Spurs fan, you two, you're over United. How many chances do we actually get, like honestly, in a month to watch our team actually play football? And you're paying £40-50 a month. And then during the lockdown, when they're saying about all this stuff, and one of the big things in this Sky was saying, it was like, oh, how dare they do this when like people are struggling for money? Hang on a minute. During lockdown, the first lockdown, weren't you charging £15 on pay-per-view to watch fucking Brighton play Burnley? Like, are you actually serious? And you're trying to come back with a moral high ground? Like, no way. Like, I barely get to watch my team play, and to be honest, I'm fucking thankful, to be honest, because like Tottenham have been like, absolute crap. We won't even get into that. But like, if you're paying £80 a month and you're only barely watching your team play once, twice, say if you're like you are a low league supporter, a low team supporter, you're not going to get to see your team play every week. You're not the Man City. You're not the Big Six. You're not going to get your team shown on telly. And if it is, it's going to be on BT, if anything, or on Amazon or something stupid like that. So I kind of get what they were trying to do. It's just, but I think they went about it the complete wrong way.
Yeah, I think it was just the way they went about it, which is like the biggest issue, and especially like they didn't even consult like the managers of the teams to start off with. It was just the owners sitting around a table going, "Yeah, let's do it," and then everyone's like, "What? Sorry?" Like a day before, people were like playing games and stuff like that, and it's just like it makes no sense. Like if there was more transparency and everyone kind of knew what was happening. But I mean, yeah, the biggest issue again, like it was nice that they were going to try and find some kind of streaming thing so you could watch your teams play. Like that's decent, because Sky is absolutely ridiculous to try and pay for. BT's not that bad, but they have like barely any games, man. Like you get BT Sport free with like if you have BT Internet, so that's not really an issue. But yeah, the fact that Sky charges like even just for sports is like £50, and no one really gives a shit about other sports. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry for anyone that likes golf and all that stuff, but no one really cares about the other sports in that sort of sense. Like everyone wants Sky Sports for the football channels
or F1 basically, yeah.
Well, yeah, but F1 you can get thrown in like
It's
a standalone alongside like entertainment. And if you're a legacy, if you've had Sky for like before all of the newer stuff came in, you get it as like a part of your legacy package anyway. Like my dad doesn't pay any extra because he's been with Sky for like 20 years or whatever. They just throw it in, and they tried to take it away from him one time, and he just like, well, I've been with you for 20 years, I'll just go somewhere else, and they just left it on him. Like, but it's just disgusting how much they charge for it, and then like that's why people go to like these. Yeah. Oh, you shouldn't like. Well, through the lockdown, they were like, oh, or this Now TV pass. I was like, nah, I'm alright. But this is exactly why they want to try and stop people from streaming stuff illegally, and yet they make it like they outprice it so much that it happens anyway. If they made it cheaper, people wouldn't go to a dodgy web or go to a website to watch the shit they want to.
Or even bring in a streaming service where you can, if they bring the streaming service where you would pay like not a season ticket price, but you pay say £80 for the year, but you get to watch every single game your team's involved in, like for that price. They would make a fucking fortune, and like it would actually make a lot of money. But like they're so happy with earning like £80 a month from people where they can barely watch their team play. Like they're happy to get the money in and upset the fans. That's what pissed me off. The hypocrisy behind them bitching. Like Gary Neville, I get his massive rant and stuff, but like if they was invited to the party, would they really be ranting this much? I like Gary Neville. I get, he's a football fan. He's actually a football club owner as well with Salford. So he knows it from both sides. But when he started to slag off his own team and say, "I'll punish the players, punish the team," wait, whoa! It weren't us. It weren't the team. It was the bosses. Kick them out. Kick them out of the ban them. Don't fucking punish the team for it.
I think the problem is the only way to do that is you punish the team and a manager who knew nothing about this to damage the owners. But that's the only way you can do it. You can't. How do you find billionaires? You know what I mean? Like, how can you go? Oh, you're going to get a £500,000 fine. They're like, all right, hang on a minute, I'm just going to take a dump and I'll give you your money. Like, they don't care about that sort of money. So the only way to do it is by damage it, which is like just disgusting points deductions for teams, which I kind of agree with, man. As much as I don't want to see getting like a disgusting amount of points and whatever. Like all of the teams that were even thinking about it, the way it went, at least do it. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, the only way you can really disrupt the business is by taking what ends in the money, and that's the players.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So when they say they're banning the players as well from playing in the World Cup, like you're going to punish the players as well. Like what they got? That was too far. I think that was just showing you the power the UEFA have. Like it's ridiculous. The power they have is just mad. To say, oh, you can't play in our World Cup and our tournament. Well, wait, it weren't the fucking players. It was the owners. Like, you can't. I get, Alex. I completely agree. Actually, but now you've said it, I agree with what you said. Like, you punish the team. You give them points deductions, whatever. But to then ban the players, that's a bit petty.
Oh, that's disgusting, especially from like European competitions. Yeah,
that's UEFA. UEFA did the same thing to England when Liverpool went over to.
We got banned from Europe.
Istanbul, was it? They destroyed half a stadium. Absolutely vandalised the place. Yeah, definitely blame the Scousers because it was their fault. Mm-hmm. They went round there. There was 3 people that was murdered. Yeah, there was like a lot of crime all over that space of a few days that they were there. It was like a hell on earth, basically. Every team from England got banned from European football. Every player who played for England got banned from the European competitions for those 5 years. That's what the staple went. It was just the fact that the other teams decided to try and take UEFA to court, that they decided to go, actually, no, we'll just ban Liverpool for the next 3 years. But personally, I think Liverpool, because Liverpool should have got a bit of a harsher penalty for that, just to really punish the fans. Because the only way to stop that is by punishing the teams. It was their fans' fault, but punishing England across the whole field was wrong, and that's UEFA all over. They just go like, you know what? We'll just punish everybody. We'll blanket punish everybody, and it will stop it. It will just basically go like, well, yeah, you're not thinking about it, but you can think about it soon. So we're going to punish you all, so you don't think about it ever again.
That's it. In the chat as well, people are saying, so like football is now a business, and yeah, it completely is. It's the problem when you have football owned by billionaires who don't know football. And I think they underestimated the fan power, massively underestimated the fan power. Like there was one tweet that went out before the Chelsea game saying, "Let's go down to Chelsea and let's protest this." And I don't think no one thought much of it from like the owner's point of view until over 2,000 fans showed up from the local area and beyond. Like they just shows you the power of the football fans and stuff. Like it does kind of cement the belief in football again. But it all come from there was a reason behind it. Like there was a genuine reason why these 6 teams thought they had to do this. So there is something fundamentally wrong with the Premier League and UEFA and all this kind of stuff. So maybe they need to take a look at themselves and really think of something to fix it.
My main question about the Super League thing was when he named the top 6 of English football.
Yeah, and they did, and they included Arsenal in that, who was 9th.
It was
7th.
It was basically you got to think about it. It's like it's not the fact of where you're positioned now. It's like you expect the top 6 teams to all be Premier League winners.
Yeah, and they weren't. Yeah, Tottenham's never won it once. Arsenal's obviously off; they have won it. Liverpool have only.
But when was the last? Yeah, you should never. If you're gonna add teams that have just won it once or nearly won it or been in the top 5, why can't we ask Blackburn?
Yeah, or Blackburn.
Why can't Leicester City?
Blackburn should have been another one.
Leeds United should have been invited to it because they won the old League One before the Premier League.
Nottingham Forest. Yeah. They won the Champions League back in the day. I think
they won it.
It wasn't the big
they're
6.
The first.
Go on.
They won it. They won the European Cups like 3 years in a row.
Yeah, they'd won it loads. But I think the big 6 was the big maybe they meant like the big money 6.
The big money 6. Yes, definitely.
Because that's
still to include Arsenal in that.
But the
much in it.
Yeah, Arsenal's really good business wise. They save a lot of money.
And
they save a lot of money, but it's fucking awful though. I always hate to be an Arsenal fan. Like the owners have money, and what do they really spend?
Yeah, it's true. It's like Tottenham, same thing. But like, I also understand like from this point of view, like this is why I saw it. Like as a Spurs fan, like if this went ahead, like I think the teams that were in it, like I say, don't even include Tottenham being in it, couldn't really go wrong for us if it went ahead or it didn't go ahead. Because if it went ahead and we was part of it, then brilliant. Then we're going to get all this money, 300 something million. We were going to get for joining, and we've got £1 billion stadium to pay for, which is fine. Okay, we would have got loads of TV revenue rights, all this kind of stuff. If Tottenham didn't join it and said no, we're going to back out, but the other 5 teams did, the Premier League would have died. And Tottenham, again, have got £1 billion stadium to pay for, and we would have been bankrupt, and we'd have been done. Because the Premier League would have been over. So I think...
This is why I think a lot of teams did say, like... I think this is the reason why a lot of people were like... Well, there'll be some teams, and I'll include United in this, because the Glazers, again, are just absolute dickheads. Like, they would have done it, and saw it from that point of view anyway. And then there's certain teams are probably thinking, we should probably say yes, because we don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
Like the teams like City who don't need the money. Same with Chelsea, who are £1 billion owners, sort of thing.
Don't deserve to be in that top. Don't deserve to be defined as a big 6. Like, but to be asked as a big 6, I said it's.
I wouldn't even.
But
I wouldn't have even taken 6 from the Prem. I would have taken 4.
4, yeah.
I would have honestly dropped Spurs and Arsenal.
Yeah, 100%.
From there.
100%. But I think what they've done, they looked at location. I think so. That you've got 2 big United clubs. You've got to take them. You've got to take Liverpool because they've got that massive rivalry between United. And then they looked at London and they went, who can take from London? They're not going to take West Ham because West Ham, bearing in mind they're up there. They're only up there just this season, so they've had a good season. But they're going to take Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham because that rivalry there is just so massive. It's probably bigger than a lot of other rivalries you get around the world, probably, especially the Arsenal Tottenham one. That's a massive rivalry. But yeah, anyway. I'm glad it didn't come ahead. But I think UEFA need to really look at themselves and maybe decide something. But
they need to give control more to the clubs. The clubs need to have that bit more of a say of what happens, because it's just the Champions League. It just seems to be a bit boring now. Yeah, the matches are good to watch, but as a competition altogether, it's boring. And it really disrupts the domestic league because they don't do like with international football. They have the international break.
Yeah,
why can't we do why don't we have mini breaks throughout the domestic league to support European football?
Yeah, I think that's more of a Premier League issue, because I know that most of the other countries, they have this, but we don't. So it doesn't really help us at all as a country, as the Premier League. But yeah, it is kind of stupid. But anyway, I don't want to get too stuck on this. Yeah, like Curly said as well, like stadium size probably come into it as well. Also said the Spotify owner is going to be buying Arsenal apparently, so that'd be interesting to see. But
Well,
yeah.
does that mean like after like every so many minutes of watching a game, there's going to be like 2 adverts? You got to go and watch an
Unless you pay
advert
for
before
it.
they carry on playing. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you subscribe.
Arsenal
I think
Premium.
just to finish off sort of thing, like I think the only way you could ever change the way UEFA would ever do things is if every single team, not so much every single team like across the world, but like say if you got like every single team in the Premier League and you got them to do something, and like we'll boycott the Premier League and we'll take these teams and we'll do another, you could just completely take it away, so the UEFA have to go, oh shit. And if you could get other teams across the world involved and be like, look, this is just bullcrap. But then there's certain leagues like the Spanish league, right? Barcelona and Real Madrid get like all of the TV revenue, and the rest get like nothing. Like they're not going to be like, oh yeah, we'd love to do, like, it's just they were like, hang on a minute, we're sitting quite pretty here. But it would have to be like a mass thing across the world before UEFA would even, because they've got all the power before they would even probably think about doing anything.
If anything, what it should have done was a World Super League where they actually invited teams from South America and America and that kind of stuff, where obviously the quality ain't there, but you know, that's something different anyway. I don't think it would have upset UEFA too much.
It would, because that upsets the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the club.
And well, obviously everybody forgets about that because only two teams in Britain have actually won it.
Liverpool and United.
Yeah, Liverpool United are the only two teams that won it, and it wasn't really big for both teams really. It was just it's just a bit of a fun cup.
Well, it's like a pre-season thing though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's more that sort of vibe to it.
Yeah, it's just one of those it's one of those ones like your mid-season fun cup.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Like the Audi Cup and the Emirates Cup that Tottenham has to take part in every year. But moving off of that subject quickly, there was also rumours of, obviously due to all this, it kind of sparked, keeping on football a little bit, it sparked some ideas floating about. And I did hear of something called, the idea they were floated by was the BSL, the British Super League. And the idea behind this was to incorporate the Scottish League and the Welsh League and the Northern Irish League into one league. And that basically means bringing Celtic and Rangers into essentially the Premier League.
They would never want to do that. They would just like, what annoys me with the Scottish League, right, is, I'm sorry for any Scottish people listening, but like, it's trash in comparison, right? And Celtic and Rangers is like the main two things. You put them into like the English leagues, and I generally think they'd be struggling for relegation.
They'd get relegated instantly. I think there's no doubt about it. They'd instantly get relegated.
Well, when Swansea and Cardiff joined the English football leagues, the Scottish League teams were offered it, but Celtic and Rangers at the time, they would have competed top 4 because they were at that time decent teams. This is what you're thinking early 90s.
Yeah.
Late 80s, early 90s, when Celtic and Rangers did do well in Europe. But like, you look at it now, I think they would struggle to get to beat teams like where the Wolves, Watford, Norwich. They'll struggle.
They would struggle to beat these teams. They would, and
they'll struggle.
The problem is you throw them into the Premier League. So you throw them in the Premier League, they wouldn't have no time to get the rep to buy players. They might get a few good, decent signings in, but they're going to come up against Man City on a Tuesday night where they're going to get their absolute arse handed to them. And it's going to just demoralise Scottish football completely. So
yeah, definitely.
I feel like they should be taking up a spot, so I'd rather see other teams, to be honest. I'd actually rather see like the Burnleys, the Brightons, and things like that make it, and like Norwiches and Wolves and stuff making it like doing good in the Premier League rather than Celtic and Rangers. But I mean, that might just be me being an English person, like saying like I don't mind Rangers. Like I can't stand Celtic, but I don't mind Rangers, especially with like Gerrard at the helm.
Good
But
man.
but I just wouldn't want to see them in the English. I feel like it's all wasted spots they would be taken up.
I think what they want to do this. What they should do is incorporate them into the FA Cup. Maybe that'd be a better idea. Like, at least then it's a knockout stage, and they could have got some sort of chance. It doesn't affect their season, and then they get a chance to play, decent football and try and potentially win the FA Cup. Because look at the teams that won the FA Cup. Look at the teams that got to the final. Anyone can get to the final of the FA Cup. Let's be honest. Like Wigan got to the final and they won.
And Portsmouth,
another one. Like I said, so if anything, that would be a better idea. Like incorporate the Scottish League and the Welsh League into the FA Cup. Why don't they do that?
That's a great idea. But if you got like Scottish League, well, that there are a couple of big teams in Scotland. But if you think of the Welsh Premier League, can you actually think of any team?
No, there's nothing.
Cork City.
Cork City.
That's Ireland.
That's Southern Ireland, actually. Cork City.
That's just the only team I know, man. That's the only team I've ever. Yeah.
I know one team in Northern Irish is
that's the only team. That's about it.
One of the best teams in the Welsh Premier League is Airbus Broughton. My local Sunday football team played against them in a friendly and beat them 4-0.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wouldn't get very
not
far,
going to last.
But you've got to include them in there. You can't just brush them aside, I suppose.
They'll say no. They'll say no because at the moment they've got a chance of European football.
Yeah. I think that would be the issue with a lot of, I think if it ever came to any sort of talking between teams, Celtic and Rangers would want some special pass into the Premier League right for a start. They'd want some kind of special things. They're like, oh well, we're the biggest teams here, and then other teams would be like, well, we don't really want to because we're going to get absolute trounced and be it may be second tier, sort of division, maybe even worse into with the Vanarama or whatever it's called now, leagues, and then. I just don't. I think the best thing to do would be do a British Cup, like the FA Cup, but just a full-on British Cup, where all the teams from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and all that stuff. It's like an FA Cup, but just throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, guys, I think we're gonna have to say patent pending on that because this is an absolutely amazing issue, and if someone from the FA or that was sitting there listening to this podcast someday and this is amazing. We're looking at this. This is our idea. You keep your hands off
it. We will sue the shit out of you. That's what
we've got proof now because we are live. This is all live.
Yeah, we're live. We're proof. It's recorded. In a minute, we'll all get messages from the FBI. Can you stop broadcasting, please?
Yeah, our broadcaster was turned off.
We'll get cancelled, banned from PlayStation.
Yeah, MI7, which is basically the equivalent of FIO guy. Yeah, we're cutting your signal off. Boom, done.
That's it.
Alright, so anyway, enough football talk because I think Izzy's probably fallen asleep listening to this. Okay, F1.
Well, one more thing, can I just say? Man United played tonight, and we played sick. And I'm still in awe of Cavani's pass, and I still can't stop talking about it.
Actually, I've got one thing as well.
That.
The only good thing to come out of the ESL
Arsenal lost!
Yeah, Arsenal lost. The only good thing to come out of the ESL was Mourinho getting sacked. There you go, I'm done.
I don't think that's a good call.
I don't think that was down to the ESL.
Yeah, I don't think it was down to that.
I'm just taking it.
That again comes down to money because of where you won the league. He got paid even less. They paid less to get rid of him.
If he won the League Cup, he'd have had to be paid double to get sacked, or triple or some shit. So he's a very clever man. I swear to God, this guy's living off getting sacked.
Well, that's what he did at United.
Yeah, exactly.
He got sacked, got a nice payout, and when the whole caveat is he wasn't allowed to join another team until the end of the season. He's just like, I'm just going to sit off right until the end, and then
do adverts with fucking Paddy Power.
Yeah.
They're quite good adverts though. I don't even like Paddy Power, but they were very good. Not as good as the Fosters ones though. Bring back the Fosters ones from back in the day.
They were
they were so good, man. They were so good.
Oh man.
Anyway,
good call.
Formula 1.
Yeah, Formula 1. Okay, so big controversy probably. I would say. Obviously, we had the race as well. What do you think of the race? Last week, 2 weeks ago now. The race.
2 weeks ago.
What do you think of the race?
I'll be honest. I thought it was a pile of. Yeah. I like the idea of someone else winning a race. I do. Yeah. I like it. I like it. But I'm sorry, it was a terrible race.
Yeah.
Whose fault? Bottas or Russell? Whose fault? We're all being stewards here, so in our own F1.
Right. Right, straight up, it is very similar to Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo in Baku moments, but Bottas did not make the triple move that Verstappen did. He just moved very late, put Russell onto the wet patch, and Russell's traction just went.
Yeah.
Racing incident in my eyes.
Alex?
But the late move caused it.
I also think it's a racing incident because the nature of the track that has the little kink. So he did move slightly, but it made it look a lot worse because of the natural flow of the track going to like the left-hand side. I think Russell should have been. It's hard, right? Because they're going full chat. But when I first saw it, and I was just like, I mean, I've never rated Bottas anyway. Like even since like in Williams, like I've never thought Bottas was like a top caliber driver. And the first time I saw it, I was like, "What the f are you doing, Bottas?" And then when I watch more replays and you look at like the kink in the track, and I was thinking he actually didn't really move that much, and there was a lot more space for George to have, but he in the end went so much wider than needed to, and dipped his tyre in the wet stuff and
that's
crashed
what it was
into
in my opinion. I think I'm inclined to agree. It's a race incident. If anything, I'd lean towards it's Russell's fault, basically on inexperience, because I think he must have seen Bottas make that move, and as a rookie, because he is technically still compared to Bottas, he's a rookie. He must have absolutely shat his pants and panicked, went too far wide, got onto the wet, and just lost it.
When you look at the replay, there was a lot of space. To be fair, there was a lot of space.
Yeah, there was a lot.
But
It was just that the timing of Bottas moving over. That it was only a few inches. Yeah. Plenty of space. But it was the timing because he moved over very late. Russell just shit himself.
Yeah.
Those white overalls he wore were brown from the waist down.
And Russell's reaction as well was absolute brilliant. I don't know if you guys saw it. So he got out of the car, went up to moan to Bottas, who just
I preferred Bottas's one. He just sitting there, just puts his finger up. I thought it was fucking brilliant. Because no one can hear anything. No. And even easy as I couldn't hear him, and he was just like, when I saw George go up to him, and I just like, I don't even really like Bottas, and I just see the middle finger, I was like, what a lad. I was like, what a legend.
And then Russell's weak sort of tap to the head. He's got a fucking helmet on. What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
I think the tap was just basically to make him realize,
give him his
head a wobble.
Yeah.
But it's like there was the unwritten agreement between all drivers after the Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, that you can't make those late movements onto someone.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
That was a verbal agreement between all drivers, not a written one, not a racing conduct one. It was just a verbal agreement that we're not going to do that to people.
Isn't it the Verstappen rule?
And Bottas, it was basically the Verstappen rule. But Bottas broke that, and that's what I think Russell was so wound up about. Was the fact that we spoke about this before every single race. Now Russell actually did a whole PowerPoint presentation on these kind of issues when he got given the. He's the king of PowerPoint, isn't he, at F1? When he got given the role of the driver, once he became a driver, basically the chief driver, whatever it is, safety thing.
Driver liaison officer or something.
It's basically what Roman Grosjean was last season. He was there, he took over, and he did the whole thing. Basically, all right, this is what we want to expect, guys. We can't be doing this. We can't be doing that. Let's keep it safe out there. And Bottas breaks one of the rules that was put in 5 years ago.
Yeah. It's understandable. Like it was a late move, but I just feel like you said, George just crapped his pants and moved too far to the right, and there was a lot more space. But I think the kink in the track was a big factor in it as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously that was obviously the race. Hamilton did really well to come back. Obviously they did help Matt having a safety car, and he got to unlap himself because of the red flag. So fair enough. So he come back.
See, this brings me on to another thing. Like I feel George didn't technically do anything wrong, but I feel like lapped cars or cars being lapped need to not put themselves in danger, but he should have been on the he should have gone offline. It's just like you're being lapped, and it's not because I'm a Hamilton fan. You see this quite too often. I feel like they're not letting the cars that are obviously on the lead lap through at
safe
just sensibly enough. because sometimes they'll hold them up for ages as well, and it was more so at that track. It was a big issue, but they should. I don't care if they're fighting; they're being lapped, right? The other person they're fighting with is going to be affected as well.
Yeah.
They need to move. Like George should have gone to the inside, so Hamilton could still have the dry line, and that wouldn't have even happened. But again, Lewis, it's a hard one to say, but I feel like they kind of do go about their business too much, and then you see some cars getting out the way really well, and then some people just not so much, and it's just like you're being lapped, just fuck off out the way.
The problem is where the point is where he got the blue flags from. Anything after that corner was going to be unsafe.
Yeah.
For a long time, so Russell was more thinking, right, if I don't let him pass now, I can't let him pass until pretty much the start-finish straight. And by that time, he's been penalised.
Yeah.
So it is about a judgment, and especially around Imola. Around Imola itself, it is really tight. It's probably tighter than what you get at Hungary, and we all know how harsh that track is.
Yeah. But that's why I feel like if you're being lapped, you should kind of pull to the side, and just let them go and then carry on, because any car's going to be affected.
It's just the fact that there's nowhere to do it in Imola really that's safe enough.
Everywhere's
got a corner, and that is the main issue really. And I do agree with you 100%. If it was Silverstone or Baku or anything, you go move right out of the way. You've got plenty of space, move out of the way. Whereas Imola, I can understand the issue there.
Yeah, I just think by George still staying on that line instead of he should have gone onto the wet line, let Hamilton take the normal line, and he could have slowed down more, but yeah, it's an annoying thing, and certain tracks like that, like it's nice to be going back to some of these tracks, but you can really see how much like F1's evolved over the years to as why like those tracks aren't used.
Yeah, like Monaco, which is still getting used this bloody day.
Don't even get me started on Monaco.
Leave Monaco alone.
Speaking of, actually, another track change that happened. That's going to happen. It's come out in the news this week.
Yes.
Canada going potentially only for this 1 year, obviously because of COVID, it can't be raced. Replacing it with Turkey. What's your thoughts on that?
See, I love Canada. But I've always loved the Turkish Grand Prix. Canada is amazing, but I still remember racing Turkey in one of, I can't remember what Formula 1 game it was when it was last on the calendar, but I love Turkey as well.
It's going back.
Like I love Turkey though. Well, at least I used to. So as much as I'm annoyed that the Canadian Grand Prix is not going to be about this season, I'm also kind of stoked to see Turkish Grand Prix back, and hopefully it carries on.
What do you think about Turkey, Hero?
It's that Herman Tilke, isn't it?
Prefer chicken.
See, it's a Herman Tilke track.
It is a Herman Tilke track. It really is.
Turkey. This is my problem. I can't remember Turkey. So I probably hate it.
Turkey, you've got to think like, a lot of corners that you see in Bahrain, in the Circuit of Americas, is in Turkey. Now, turn 8 is very similar to turns 17 and 18 at America. So it's like those kind of corners.
No fucking imagination at all.
Well, he created the Malaysian.
Okay, that's the only thing I'll give credit for. That is actually a decent track. That's one of my favourite. That is decent. I would like to see that back on the calendar. Turkey's nice. I do like Turkey itself. I don't like. It's like his early stuff is quite nice because it's new. But then when you go, this corner works, that works, and stick them all together. It doesn't
like
work.
Bahrain was probably the last of a Tilke special that worked.
Yeah,
I like Bahrain.
Bahrain's
good.
Bahrain for me on Wednesday was just epic. So I'm buzzing about that. That's what I do love Bahrain. Mainly just I was like, yeah, it's a nice track, but then I loved it even more after racing it on Wednesday.
It's fantastic.
But like, my feeling about Canada they're going is I'm gutted. I knew it was on the cusp of going. I knew Brazil was thinking of going, but now we've got to think. There's 3 tracks that have been chosen for the sprint races. It was
we'll get into that in a minute.
Silverstone, Canada, and Brazil. Who we're going to pick then? That's what's coming from this. It's like who takes over those races, the sprint races.
Yeah, we'll go back to that in a second. There's also the Miami track's been announced as well the last 2 weeks. That looks like a complete drag fest, like DRS heaven by looks of it, because it's got really long straights. If you guys have seen it, if not, have a look. It does look pretty cool, but it's not made by Herman Tilke, thank God. It goes around the outside of the NFL stadium in Miami, so potentially could be decent. But again, it's another street circuit. It all depends how wide it is. But in America, streets are quite wide naturally, so it could work pretty well.
Is it more? Is it the thing? Is it going to be like a street circuit that you see like such as places like Baku and that, where you can find some decent racing, or is it going to be like the old Las Vegas track, because it is mostly in car parks?
Yeah, so it could be kind of anything it wants to be, really.
So I've seen the video for it, and I just the little clip of showing you a lap around it through the simulator, and I went, it doesn't look like it's actually a street track. It actually looks like it's a fully enclosed track.
Yeah, just looks like a genuine permanent track. So it is quite clever how they've done it. But it might be good. It might be good.
I'm hoping for a Singapore feel. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well,
if it's a Singapore style race, it'd be amazing.
Do you know what track I really miss? So Alex, what's your opinion quickly on Miami? If you
I don't want it to be like flat out just proper like street circuit, because as you know I dislike them. I'm hoping it's going to be a bit better. By the drawing it looks kind of okay, but I literally don't think we're going to know properly until they're racing around it.
Yeah.
Or until we've seen it finished. So I'm kind of excited in a sense maybe for it. It's a new track, but then I'd rather see like older tracks come back. Like I was actually going to ask this question: like, if you could pick one track to come back, what track would both of you pick?
I've got mine straight.
See, I reckon I know what you're going to say, Hobo.
Yeah.
And I reckon we're about to say the same thing. So we'll go with Gaz first.
Go on, Gaz.
No, I want to hear yours first.
All right, Alex.
Well,
Gaz, count us in. 2, 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1.
Valencia.
Yeah.
Valencia.
Yeah. Valencia is a track I miss.
Loved the track. I loved racing it. I loved watching it. It was so refreshing. It was a complete spin on street circuits, and I think it was built amazing. That the scenery around was amazing. Like I get it was the European track for some stupid reason, but I know why they can't have 2 Spanish tracks or whatever, but bring it back. That was the best track. I don't know why they took it out in the first place. It was just amazing.
Yeah, no, I did like Valencia, and the only other track actually, it wasn't a brilliant track, but what I liked about it is it was like kind of purpose built. Was the Indian track, because it was one of those. I had the one at a big fuck off back straight sort of thing, but the only reason why I like that is literally because it was literally purpose built. Like they dug up a big fucking plot of land, built an actual like purpose-built Formula 1 track, instead of just going, where can we fit a racetrack around these little streets? Like, I'm sick of that stuff, man. Bring back like the more purpose-built ones.
I'm just looking at pictures of it. I can't remember it. It reminds me a bit of China, but I don't particularly remember it.
Yeah, it's kind of China-esque, to be fair, but I wouldn't. I'd rather pick Valencia, but that would be another one where I wouldn't mind seeing that back, especially now with how the cars are.
Thierry says Malaysia or Calamari. Kalami? I can't say it properly. Kalami. I think I should know that word.
Yeah, Kyalami.
Kyalami.
The Kyalami circuit. Yeah, it's the same. The African circuit. It's
that's the South African circuit.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
I want to see that as well.
Fantastic.
I've seen clips of that, and I've seen obviously back in the day we were watching the old clips. I want to see that track. I was about to say that actually. They'll bring back that South African track.
It's a nice track. The only thing is that a little bit more work. It'll make it a little bit wider at places, and it'd be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. A lot of circuits that I think are fantastic are the old purpose built circuits that need a bit of work. Kyalami is a fantastic circuit. It's one of my top 4 tracks that are no longer raced in. Alongside the Nürburgring, I'm talking about the GP circuit, not the Nordschleife. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's just too narrow for racing. Malaysia, even though I don't like the double back straights. But I do like that circuit.
That's I don't know why they got rid of that circuit either. Like, another great circuit, one of the all-time greats, and I don't know why they got rid of
Absolute brilliant. Then you've also got the Mugello. I love Mugello.
Yeah,
I love circuits with gravel traps.
Yeah, 100%. I want to
But
see more
then,
gravel traps.
Comment from Curly.
I think it's because he's eating.
Yeah, it's because he's eating.
Yeah, sorry, I'm eating, yeah.
Neither comes on in. He always eats.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Pretty much.
Did it last? Was it pizza last time?
Yeah, I think
You got a takeaway, wasn't it?
Me and you have had pizza.
You got a takeaway before the.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, it was pizza. I think it was pizza.
It was either pizza or kebab or something like that.
It was some. Sorry, it was kebab. No, it was kebab. I had a kebab, and I'd done a meat and cheesy chip wrap. That's what on the first one.
That's it. Yeah,
that's what I had that time, and this time's just not very excited at all.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll go back to the circuits anyway, not food. I want circuits with proper corner names.
You and corner names.
That's I would. I'll tell you what. I would love a job from the FIA where I can just go around naming the corners of all these new circuits.
I can do that as well.
I would
me
give
and Nevo come up with great names of Vietnam.
Whoa. You got to think. You got to have it rated PG, guys. Like, come on.
What's wrong with up the shaft, around the helmet, and then down the gooch? What's wrong with that?
I would never want to name a corner if Crofty's commentating. As soon as he stops commentating, I'll do anything.
I'll be honest. I think it's because Toby's been messing around with my headset. Is that better?
Wait, hang on. Hello. Yeah, it's gone.
Oh,
that's awesome. Yeah, Toby's been messing with my headset. Oh, you heard him, Hobo. He was talking to you before.
Yeah, he was. I was trying to tell him to slap Gaz, and he was apparently shaking his head, saying no.
But yeah, I'd love it. Even if I'll make sure there's some names that are so hard to pronounce that he'll struggle. Or I'm a fat bastard corner. Like those kind of things.
Oh man, the guy.
I'd want to name corners after movie titles. Purely after movie titles.
Well, and you probably go around offshore going, right, yeah, that's Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4.
I'd want to design a track and literally do like the most ridiculous corner, which is just like the hardest corner. It's like, and I'd call it Mission Impossible, and it'd be that sort of thing. And then there'll be like Bad Boys corner. It'll be like the White Chicks corner, just for why not?
for our sakes.
Just for my sake. And just name them after like movie titles.
Thierry says Fiji should come back.
Ooh, good shout.
Yeah, it's quite a good shout actually.
That was a good track.
GG's.
Also, do you know what else I liked as well? I just looked on this thing, Watkins Glen. But again, I think due to due to the fact it's so narrowed now. Because back in the day in the 70s, the car was smaller. It worked. But yeah, I think Watkins Glen with the walls and stuff, it works for touring car. It wouldn't work for F1. I don't think these days.
It's so small. I swear down, you can spit from one side of the track to the other.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's just
tiny.
You can't even work on it. If you actually see the venue, it's a bit like Imola. It's like built within a housing area. There's plenty of buildings so close, so you could not make that track wider. It's a disaster of a track. It's good for karting. That's about it.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
But
it wouldn't work particularly in F1 anymore. But I was looking at the Fiji track now. The Fiji track is actually quite a nice track.
What about Adelaide? For street circuit, that works well. Obviously, you got the harsh left rights all the way up to the start, but then you've got that long straight that's got a bit of a kink in it, going back down to the actual purpose built part of the circuit. The V8 cars absolutely love it. I reckon the F1 cars would actually go down a storm at Adelaide. Do it alternately from Albert Park.
Yeah, Adelaide would be quite a good idea as well. I think I did like that one. What else the comments we said? Thierry says Magny Cores?
Magny Core.
Magny Core.
I don't remember Magny Core, to be honest.
I don't remember Magny Core. I'm looking it up now. I'm just googling it quickly. I don't remember the track particularly. There was a few years where I didn't actually watch F1 because I was working, so I couldn't actually watch it. So it's kind of frustrating. Whoa, that track looks weird. Very long straights around this track, and actually the track is basically just straight, hairpin, straight, corner, straight, corner, straight, corner. It's literally just pure straight. That's the fastest lap was done by Schumacher, 1:15.3. So it's quite a long track, but it's a lot of straights. And I think DRS would absolutely destroy that track because they would, knowing the FIA, they'd put like 6 DRS zones in there because you can.
Have a little look into the Autodromo International Nelson Piquet.
Nelson Piquet.
I think that'll be an interesting. Yeah, Nelson Piquet. I think that'll be an interesting one.
Let's have a look at this track. Nelson Piquet F1 track. Let's have it. Oh, okay.
Or I'll tell you another one. There has been rumoured to be coming back in the next few years. Is the Argentine
That's
Grand Prix?
Brett just said the same thing. The Belarus Arias.
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. There we go. Buenos Aires.
Yeah, the Oscar and Juan Galvez circuit down in Buenos Aires. It is fantastic. It's got quite a few complicated corners in there. I think Brett's on spot on with it. I think it'd be a fantastic circuit.
Let's have a little look at this circuit. It's been postponed apparently, but it must be on they must race it on MotoGP. F1 track. Here we go. Let's have a look. Wow, that layout is quite mad.
It'd be interesting, won't it?
Yeah, that'd definitely. There's a lot of tight corners. There's a Maggotts and Beckett's-esque kind of corner in there as well. Turns 9, 10, and 11. Very similar to Maggotts and Beckett's actually. Looking at the track map.
I think the pit lane works really well. It'll take if they use the where they come onto it at turn 14. I think that will work better than if they use the later turn after turn 15.
Yeah. The thing I do like that turn 15, 16, 17, 18. I think it looks pretty cool the way they've set it up. And also the exit the pit exit in turn 1 reminds me very much of Japan. The Japanese turn 1. Very, very similar exit.
Yeah, well, that's what you want. You want a nice exit that you run out of the pit lane, and you don't. It's not like you're jumping in straight into a corner. You want that chance to basically move across the racing line to get into the track.
Yeah, Thierry has said every circuit has a Maggotts and Beckett's. It's pretty much because it is the most iconic part of F1, Maggotts and Beckett's. So yeah, every track does try to mimic it at some point. Like not Australia, USA have that the Maggotts and Beckett's S section. Monaco, you can get out of this. Monaco is not coming. Monaco, maybe if you moved Monaco and put it somewhere where you can make it wider, but no, Monaco as a track, you can't move from the area because it is Monaco. It is history, but it's just a track. It's just a track I would not want to race on. I think it's just too unsafe.
Monaco itself is going to change.
Yeah. You were saying about they're going to build into the sea.
Yeah, basically the marine that's actually after you come out the tunnel down to the Nouvelle Chicane, all the marine there is going to be built onto. So you could see when they come up the tunnel and down to the Nouvelle, you might find another hairpin there where then they'll go around a different part of the newer built Monaco. So get away from the whole pool section, which I think where the most crashes do happen in that area.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going to race at Monaco, they've got to have the pit. They have made that pit straight, iconic. They've made the Casino Square, the Mirabelle's iconic.
For DRS.
It's hot. It is a pointless DRS. You can't get past anybody on the circuit, and that is a problem. But as a thing, I do like the iconic circuit. I do think that they do need to stay, but as a showpiece rather than part of the championship, that might be way better.
I think that's why I said it. It's a track we'd get rid of. Yeah, 100%. I think he's agreeing with us that Monaco needs to go. 100%. I'd replace it with Valencia.
I really don't think they should get rid of Monaco from a F1 calendar, but do take it out of the championship. Have it as an iconic standalone cup.
Yeah.
Or change the corner after the tunnel.
But
Take
the
that
Nouvelle
out.
the Nouvelle Chicane was put in there to stop the cars from going over into the Moon Lake.
Yeah. And
Fuck that.
Which happens
to be
twice.
That would make it
because-
more interesting, wouldn't it?
I think it needs to be in there because of safety reasons, but the problem is...
I know,
with
because if you take that out or move it further down, then it creates an overtaken opportunity.
Yeah,
If,
there needs to be
even if you
something.
changed it and moved it down or something. I mean, I know obviously you can't, it's going around obviously like harbour and stuff, but if they could do something different or change, like before you go into like swimming pool and stuff, just to make an overtaken opportunity, then it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah,
I still
Brexit-
would not rather race it, but
Brett's just commented saying Valencia is the best street circuit. And I said, like, Brett, you
Yeah.
missed like a whole section just now where we were talking about Valencia for about 10 minutes. Valencia is amazing. And also, he said about the Adelaide street circuit. Again, Brett, you're late to the party. Yes, we spoke about the Adelaide.
yes.
But, do you know what the tracks are like? There are iconic tracks out there that need to be. So, F1, if you're listening to this, you know, again, this is all copyrighted, our ideas and stuff. But yeah, we expect money. And also,
again, I
hashtag
thought.
coffee out.
Yeah, the only problem again, F1 is something that comes down to money. Like,
Yeah, it is. I said Monaco's never going to
Yeah,
leave
nothing.
because it just brings in that much money. But anyway, so back to the other F1 news we had. What we're thinking of this new, obviously, Gaz mentioned it briefly, the sprint circuit, or the sprint qualifying. As a F1 purist, I'm going to describe myself as, I think it is the worst idea since the elimination qualifying. I don't know if you guys agree on that or not.
I'll let you go first, Nevo.
I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
Oh, fair enough.
I like, just because you do a sprint race, right, to do qualifying, you then get taken out, or you know, you crash out in that. Like, fair enough, you crash out in qualifying, you're out anyway. But like, I think if you're taken out during another race,
Yeah.
like, then you're starting from like the back of the grid. I just don't like the idea of doing another race for that purpose. Like, I've never liked the idea of doing it like a mini race to judge qualifying. I'd rather them just switch up qualifying, and I'd just change that completely. Like one, I don't know, like two cars out on the track at the same time, so you've got plenty of space. None of this backing up stuff, or like one team hits the track sort of thing. I just don't like the idea of a sprint race at all.
Yeah.
I think there's too many variables. I just don't think it'll be fun to watch.
I'm on board with you guys in that, but I do think it needs to be trialled.
I think, yeah,
The only way-
I get it into trial, but the thing is, it could really affect the championship, which is, I think, the wrong thing to do.
Well, of course, yeah. It's one of those things. I do agree with you. I think it's a disaster of an idea. I don't think it will work. Idea of why they're doing it is more the fact that we've got to give people the chance to really like see more action, especially if you're going down there and you're only getting like a Friday or Saturday ticket for the F1, which a lot of people are unfortunate, like they can't get a full weekend because everybody buys Sunday and forgets about Friday and Saturday. Me myself, I prefer to do the whole weekend, but you get those ones that just want the race and that's it. So people on a Saturday all they're going to see is one car every now and then going past them. They won't get to see any action, and that's what it's for. It's to see the elect drivers see action. But I don't think it's going to work. But I am glad that they are trialing new ideas to bring some kind of entertainment factor in.
I'd rather see something else added to qualifying to make the drivers like add points to qualifying, not loads, but add points and make it so they have to do a certain amount of laps, like throughout the session. And I don't really mind the Q1, Q2, Q3 thing, but even if you just go right, here's your 40 minutes or whatever, you've got to do at least this amount of laps. Give them extra tyres, give them an extra set or two, but you've got to do at least this. And then you do like a points thing. You know, you get 5 points for pole. Like, you know, the top 5 or something will end up getting extra points. So then they try harder. They don't fucking sandbag or try and get through on like the slower tyre. Just make it so they're gonna be doing something for that qualifying session, so it's good to watch.
Or even if they included more points on the table, like they like for first place, it's 3 points you get for finishing first in that sprint race. So for guys who don't know what the format is or have been under a rock, so it's 60-minute practice like Friday, like always. Then there's not a normal qualifying format in the afternoon with 5 sets of tyres available. So that's normal. So it's just quali that's now on Friday. That then sets the precedent for the sprint race, which is you get first of all they get a 60-minute last free practice before that. So you get another 60-minute practice. Then there's a 100-kilometer sprint race, which again with set 2 freely. So there's no like restriction on what tyres they have to use, that kind of stuff. And then that's a qualifying race essentially, and that sets the grid for the Sunday race. But there's only, for a team's perspective, there's only 5 points on the table. Like, if they're going to do this, then have 20 points for first, all the way down to 1 point for last. And if you don't finish, you don't get any points. But the thing is, like Alex said earlier, if you're in a Williams, or like I said, and you crash, or any car really, it doesn't really matter. But if you crash on lap 19 of 20 of this sprint race, you've got 0% chance of getting that car fixed. Say if you did a Grosjean and the car splits in half. How are they going to fix that? They're out of the race. So they've lost potentially all of their points for the sake of 3 points on the table. It's just stupid. It is so stupid. It's too much of a risk. It is too much of a risk. And I think it's just, if they want to try something different with F1, maybe bring back the tyre allocations, like so that the drivers can pick a tyre manufacturer that they want. Bring back Bridgestone, Goodyear, and Michelin, all that kind of people. Keep Pirelli, obviously, but let the teams decide what tyre they want to bring in. Make it interesting in that sense. Why have they got to bring in this? Like they can do reverse grid or something. I don't know. Like.
I'd like to see the teams, like you said about like the tyre allocations. Bring back more like softer, like even softer tyres, even harder tyres, and let teams pick like what they want. Rather than it being like right, you're going to go for this, so you're going to get 3 sets of softs, 2 sets of mediums, and a set of hards, for example. And it just be like teams might like to actually no, we're not going to bring the hard tyres. We're just going to go for softs and mediums, or like mediums and hards. But give them the like more free like reign of what tyres they even want to pick in the first place, and that will spice it up because then you'll see teams with completely different strategies.
I like that idea. I like the idea of the whole different tyres, but like going on to the whole sprint thing, you got to find a lot of drivers. Go like, you know what? I am not going to push hard here because I don't want to risk myself for the race. It's not personally. I think it's not going to work. It's just one of those things it's got to be done to prove it's not going to work. But what I would like to see the drivers being committed to trying it, and rather like being like us and come and say it's not going to work. It can sod off. Let's fuck it up so we can't use it. I'd like to see them do it, give it a good go, and really see if it would work or not. But
if they're going to bring that in, then they need to give more allocations for engines and everything throughout the season, because otherwise it'll get to the sprint race and be like, right, you need to kind of go easy because this engine needs to last like 6 races, and you've got the race coming in.
There is the caveats that they have been given regarding trying these sprint races out. So they have been like, there is extra funds available should they ever have any damage from the sprint races. Or there is the chances that I think it's instead of doing 6 races, if they include the sprint race, that counts as a race as well. So they have been given those allocations that they're allowed to use. So it has been thought out through, but obviously we're only getting half a story because they don't want to give off too much information. Because at the moment it is just at the trial phase. It's not like it's going to be implemented for another 2 years maybe.
Yeah, very true. So,
I don't think anything will be dumber than a double points for last race idea. To be fair,
no, that was dumb. There's another thing that was dumb.
That was the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. So I've read some comments as well. So Brett's come in with one of his biggest gripes is between F1. It's basically how different F1 is between F2. So like the qualifying is completely different. The way that the races are run are completely different. And I say it's bad. He said it's bad enough that the chassis and aerodynamics are all completely different for these cars, and then they wonder why F2 drivers struggle when they join F1 unless they're a prodigy like Leclerc and Verstappen. And I think he's struck on a point there. Like, there needs to be some sort of mirrored thing between F2 and F1, or even have, if they're not going to do that, then have F2 completely different to F1, where they actually use this, that they test out this kind of stuff. But I think he's probably right in saying there needs to be some sort of consistency between F2 and F1, because a driver in F2, like for example Callum Ilott, who absolutely destroyed the season, he might not necessarily do that in F1. Look at Alex Albon. He didn't. He finished top 3, I think he did. So he didn't do nothing. Latifi, who I think he won the championship. Again, does nothing in F1. I think it's very difficult, like, for them to really transition.
The problem that they have is like every car on the F2 on the F1 grid is different. So they are very much unique, yet they do share parts, they do share engines, but every car is different. If you're going to make F2 much more like F1, then which car do you choose to base it on?
Yeah, it's got to be basically,
which is an issue.
Basically, I reckon what they should do, they should give, like Brett actually said there, but I'm just going to add on that a little bit. He said they should basically take the previous seasons from F1 chassis for that season. But I reckon what they should instead do is give them the champions, or even like a mid table. I say champions. The champions car gets passed down. The chassis, the template gets passed down, and obviously they can lower, make the engines less powerful, whatever they want to do to them. But they keep the initial blueprint the same, so that way they're actually racing a decent F1 car. Obviously, don't give them Williams, because that Williams would be trash. But give them a decent car to base it on, rather than having a completely different setup.
The problem you have with that is that a lot of these cars are using the same components that they use for 3 or 4 years. They're like, let's say, for instance, the cooling components for a Mercedes, they've been using the same cooling components for the last 4 or 5 years, because the fact that they haven't need to have high cooling because they've never been behind another car. So if you're going to take that cooling those kind of parts and give it to an F2 team, let's say for instance Carling, who then their engineers backdate it. So basically they take it apart and work out exactly how it works, and then pass that information on to Red Bull. Then that is passing on technical information, because Mercedes has passed that information to a team that's got partnership. So that won't work for the whole matter of fair team battling. Understand the idea. The idea is quite great on principle, but the thing is, though, it's like all those cars have got to be the same. You can't trust teams, especially when you've got teams like Carlin that is like fully embedded in the Red Bull family.
Yeah.
So it's rough.
Promotion relegation in F1. Like that.
I don't think it would work.
Well, promoted team, relegated team.
I would love to see Williams get relegated. I'm not gonna lie. I think they need to go. But I think they need to.
Williams F1 fucking royalty, mate. Can't believe you're saying that.
No. I heard, but you need to shut up right now.
I think what I'd like to see from GP2 is that every team in F1 should be like, right, you have to have, if you're going to come into F1 or whatever, you need to have a car for GP2, and you work it up, but you standardise something, like there's a chassis or something that's like, agreed to between teams. The engine is a bog standard engine, which maybe some of the manufacturers have like an input in. Nothing, so they don't share it. So there's nothing shared, or if it is like, right, every team's got a sister team in GP2, then it's just like old stuff, but it's all the same team. Nothing gets passed on. No one can try and find out anything, and then, but it's more F1 based, and the format's the same. So when I think some of the issue, they bring. Fair enough, some of the GP2 drivers come up that have done well in GP2, get into F1 and struggle big time. But they also, there's too many times where, like Mazepin is probably the perfect example. His dad's business now sponsors Haas, and didn't really do that well in GP2, and he's doing fucking terrible in F1 because he's absolutely shit at driving, he shouldn't even be considered like to be part of that. But the teams bring people through from GP2 into F1 for the money, and they just crap. And it shouldn't be like that. You should only be able to get seated in F1 if you come in like top 2.
Yeah,
if you come in top 2, then yeah, 100%. If you win the championship or come second, I would say, then you should have a chance to get into your seat in Formula 1. Or if they go down the route of like you've got the Mercedes F1, you've got Mercedes GP2, Red Bull F1 GP2 sort of thing, then yeah, you could maybe bring like drivers through to F1 and swap them around or something like that. Or something, but they shouldn't be just be dragging people from GP2 going, oh yeah, sick, your dad will sponsor me.
F2.
Like, nah. Yeah, where it is.
F2.
Like, it just shouldn't happen.
I think, and also, by the way, my gripe with Williams, like, it's still embedded for the Senna incident. Like, I will never forgive the Williams team for that. I know it wasn't obviously them same people in it, but primarily it's Williams. And also, I'm kind of glad that Claire has left because she kind of destroyed that Williams car. Like her and Paddy Lowe, the two of the worst people I hated. So,
well, what do you think Paddy Lowe ended up kind of getting forced out Mercedes?
Yeah, because exactly.
Like they realised he was a complete dead weight. Like he was there obviously for some of the process, and then they realised after pretty soon on, like a year or two, they were like, yeah, you do fucking nothing.
Yeah, we'll look at Mercedes when he was at Mercedes. Was it McLaren or Mercedes he was at? Was it McLaren?
It was McLaren, I think.
Yeah, so McLaren, when they basically that crap season, didn't they? They were so far down. They were very quick to blame him, and that just proves that yes, he was good in the 90s and the 80s, but that doesn't necessarily transcend. Claire hasn't left, according to Stu at least. Claire has left. Claire is gone. Claire is not at I don't know where Stu gets the information from. Probably the same way he gets his driving skill from. But yeah, they've gone. Claire has left the team. Now it's owned by someone else. I don't think they actually come forward and said who actually owns it yet. But for the time being, what's it?
It's a US company over in America.
Yeah. So, but they're keeping the name Williams, aren't they? It's like McLaren, basically. The McLaren heritage is still there, and the name and stuff. But the actual original owner, obviously, it's been passed over so many times now. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they're keeping Williams as the front of it still there. It's like otherwise it'd be like Force India. Like I still tend to call the Alfa Romeo Force India because that's how it started. Was Force India. I do think as well.
It depends how far back you really look into it.
You can go further back than that, but that's how I remember it. Was Force India. You can probably go further back and start calling it I don't know, Jordan back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I would love to see these teams come back as well. Like I would love to see more teams in F1. I remember back in the day when I was younger, 2040, there was 24 cars on the grid. If I remember rightly, I think there was more than that going further back. But where it's such a money game, I think it's so hard to get into F1.
See, if you was out there and you're thinking, you know, I would like to be part of F1, are you willing to spend 400 million just to get in?
The thing is, this world is full of billionaires. Like, stop buying in football teams, buy F1 teams, make it interesting. Like, I would love to see some billionaire come in, or even say Google, for example, or Amazon. Like, what's that guy that owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos. He comes in with an Amazon Prime car and just absolutely destroys Mercedes and Red Bull.
Delivering on the weekdays, turns up for fucking race events on the weekends in the same car. Guy gets out and goes, right, there you go.
Tell me you can't see that livery with the fucking Amazon logo, Amazon Prime logo on the side of an F1 car. You can definitely see it.
100% I can. 100% I can.
Even a Google as well. A white car with the Google logo. That would be insane.
With a little camera on top doing the track map.
Yeah.
That's smart.
But
it'd be quite good to see these other teams, but it's at the moment with the new thing that the Concorde that they've signed. It's just like they get paid I think it's 20 million per team, and then you've got a 200 million fee to get into with the FIA for your to have your drivers there. Then you've got to actually buy a car, buy an engine. It's like you're looking at nearly $1 billion before you even started a race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's very expensive.
It is
it's not like the
expensive.
old days where they could just like rock up. Like Frank Williams, how he started with the Williams team, is amazing. He just literally bought a second-hand F1 car and just started to race it. And it was you're not going to get that Garage Easter story anymore, where the Garage Easters are going to come through. That ain't going to happen in F1, which is a big shame.
Hesketh Racing.
Hesketh, another one. Like the guy has just literally bought an F1 car and just started to race it with no logos on the side of it, no grotesque sponsors of condoms and cigarettes, and just start cunting it and just let him do his thing. But like, literally, I do miss that kind of era of F1, and I think I would love to see that or some form of that back, where you can have an open, like in golf, where you got what's it called, a US Open, where like have an F1 Open where they can just have these 20 stock cars that are just all the same, and then they just have a mini season or something. I mean, or even like incorporate it in with the F1, the weekend. Like I would watch that. And also give a chance to see other sort of drivers come through. And I think that'd be quite interesting to do. Like have 20 stock cars that travel around, they're completely standard, all identical, and then just have different people just come in and go, I'm going to put my sponsor on that for this one race, and I will pay for the whatever the track car needs and stuff, and then put my driver in it. Like multiplayer cars in F1 in the F1 game. Like that. That's what I want to see. Multiplayer cars. I think it'd be fascinating to watch.
I'd really like to see So you can go, guys, if you want.
Yeah, I was just going to say that idea is just like you're going to basically sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to like anybody with a bit of money and no sense of fear or anything is just going to go, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. Stick themselves in a high-powered car. Yeah. Run themselves ragged, not being able to cope with the G-forces that these cars can give. End up in a wall somewhere, so they're going to cost like another load of millions.
I'm not saying they race themselves, guys. I'm saying that they bring in like actual qualified drivers and stuff. Like actually have to have a license and that, not just that they bring themselves in.
Yeah, but the thing is that like, you're gonna the thing is that like if you're gonna like do that, like if you're gonna have either high profile drivers that are just like I want so many million just to race in this car. Or you're gonna get I'm gonna get a rookie from F3 who's got no chance of coping with an F1 car and watching him spin it, crash into a wall, or just let Joe send it into the air somewhere.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. So, Az, what were you gonna say?
So with F1, what I'd like to really see is. With like all the innovations and stuff that teams want to come up with, I really wish there was less regulations so that teams still keep a budget cap so it's fair. I'm not saying like, oh, the teams with the most money can just make up the most ridiculous things, but like relax on some of the regulations and let the teams go absolute crazy with innovation, just to see what they can actually do with an F1 car. Because they bring all these regulations, so they're all doing this and they're trying to press the boundaries as far as they can. But I'd really like to see it just be like, what can you do? What can the team actually build like the best car? And just find some really nice ways, because all teams are going to do is copy it in the end anyway, right? If it's so good, so it's not even a case of like, oh, you can't do that, it's illegal. It's just like, no, you ain't done it first. Like, yeah, I'd love to see just, like that. So everyone's like, oh, like Red Bull were like, oh, well, we've got a dash system, but we didn't think it was legal. It's like, well, do you think Mercedes would have it on their car if it wasn't? Like, do you not think they've asked all the fucking the FIA and shit already? Like, they built it thoroughly talking to the FIA the whole way through it, sort of thing. But give the teams free reign, more so. And keep certain specifications in order, but just let them go absolute just mental on innovation. I feel like F1 could be ridiculously innovative, completely stomp over other racing classes completely with the innovation that they could bring, with how clever all these people are working on it, and they're just constantly just halted by all these regulations.
I am completely 100% with you on that one. Do a Formula X series alongside the F1.
Yeah, literally just something just insane.
Extreme.
Yeah.
That'd be
as long as they put the caveats in it, say you got to have this for safety, so have the halo in, have the monocoque system, those kind of things. Have the tethers on the wheels, just so those are the safety things is what they keep. But when it comes down to the wing size, the diffuser size, how big they can have the side pods, what kind of little wings you can stick on the side. I'll be honest, you'll find the Formula Grid will be so completely different that they'll look like spaceships, with all these little wings on it. I think, Jake, it's a spot on idea, and it should definitely go.
I just think like all these teams are always trying to find something new, right? And then they come to it, and it's like, it's against the regulations. It's just like, oh man, it could just be so insane. The things that they could come up with. Yeah, obviously keep it. It has to look like a Formula One car. It has to have the halo, all that malarkey, like you said, the brake wire system, all of that sort of stuff. Keep it like that. Make sure there is a certain budget cut. So like the teams that are struggling, don't get completely. I mean, they're getting trounced as it is anyway, right? So it's going to make no difference here nor there. But still have some kind of budget cap. But just be like, go wild. Like, well, what can you do? And then, because teams will end up copying it anyway, to an extent. So just let them go mental. Let them just be so innovative, and it will completely transform Formula One. It'll be actually pretty fun to watch because they'll make cars, that can follow like a millimeter behind another car. Like make them have ridiculous side pods. And all the extra wings hanging off it, or whatever they can do, and like just let them go ham.
So before we wrap it up, I think that's quite a good point to end it on. Just a quick little announcement we've got to make as well. For kind of like a throwback from the thing we spoke about at the very beginning, the European Super League, is that we've got TTFL, the Tea Time Friday League, have actually been invited to take part in a F1 style Super League, which is going to have there's going to be a few different leagues involved in it, and basically it's going to work as each league brings their best drivers, and basically it's who's got the best league and who wins the tournament. So we've luckily been invited to that. We've got already 6 drivers in the making for it already. We went looking for one more. Basically how it's going to work is that we're going to have a group stage where each team race each other on certain tracks, and then you get points for like you normally would do, and then if you go into the knockout stage and all this kind of stuff, it's actually going to be quite interesting, I think, to actually take part in. Guys, have you seen what's going on with the F1 Super League?
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm just got the FIA haven't put in a little blocker in to stop us from branching off and making a Super League. It's quite. Yeah, thank goodness. But it's a nice idea. I do think it's quite good. It's quite nice to see because it means that we can see other drivers from other leagues that are quite competitive. See where we are as a league compared to other leagues. So it'd be quite nice. Very, very interesting to see how it works out.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, hopefully more news coming on that very soon. So that is hopefully starting to be on Sundays. We are going to try and see if we can get some sort of stream going, maybe just for watching the TTFL side. Maybe watching our drivers personally. We'll see what we can come to an agreement with. But yeah, we'll think we'll wrap it up there. It's about an hour and a half. Apparently, Curly's looking for a drive. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. But guys, thank you very much for joining as always, Gaz and Nevo. I've got an idea for the name already because I think this will get viewers. You ready for this?
Bring back Valencia.
Oh no, that'd be quite good as well. But no, I did write Valencia down. But what I've gone for is Formula X series coming soon.
Absolute clickbait. I love it.
Absolute clickbait. We're going to go for that. Formula X series coming soon. But guys, thank you very much for joining me as always. Thank you very much at home for watching. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget again, tune in tomorrow for the TTFL with Gaz commentating, myself racing, obviously. Neva, you're missing that one, aren't you? You're going to be away for.
Actually, I could actually race tomorrow.
Way.
Well, we'll sort something out anyway, guys.
I actually could. I'm not bothered if they're taken. No, I'll do something else. But
we'll sort something out. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Do click the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm still 6 away from 100. I would love to get it. Don't forget to join the Discord as well for any more information. Other than that, check out the outro at the end, and you can see what we're doing and when. But until then, thank you very much, and good night.
Good night.
Right.